Hi dear friends, good morning to all. I am Bhausep Sononi, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, Gokhale Education Society's Arts, Commerce and Science College, Jawar, District Palghar. Dear friends, in this online video lecture series, we have started the first topic entitled as nuclear chemistry for the last year students of the graduation in science in chemistry as per the syllabus of University of Mumbai. Dear friends, during this online lecture series on nuclear chemistry, we have gone through various concepts right now from the start of the topic till the end of the topic. Today I am very happy to say that we have covered almost all the concept in the nuclear chemistry for the last year students as per the syllabus given by University of Mumbai. Before ending this topic, I want to revise some concept that we already have gone through these concepts in the nuclear chemistry in various online video lectures. Dear friends, if you are remember about our first lecture on the nuclear chemistry, then in that first lecture we had discussed various basic concepts in nuclear chemistry, particularly regarding with the structure of atoms, structure of nucleus, composition of the nucleus, and different phenomena shown by the particles present in the nucleus. If you remember of that lecture, then definitely in the first lecture or in the early lectures we had discussed about the nuclear chemistry. What is the nuclear chemistry? How we can define the nuclear chemistry? Nuclear chemistry is all about the nucleus of the atom. So it deals with the composition of the nucleus, structure of the nucleus. It also deals with the different phenomenon take place in the nucleus. It also deals with the particles present in the nucleus that we call it as the nucleon. So nuclear chemistry is a branch of chemistry, particularly physical chemistry, which deals with the study of nucleus of the atom. Various reactions take place in the nucleus involving nuclear particles that we had discussed. Later we also gone through a concept like nucleons. What is nucleons? Nucleons, these are the various particles present in the nucleus of the atom, particularly as far as concerned with the nuclear or the nuclear chemistry. Nuclear chemistry, then there are importantly three particles we considered. These are nothing simply protons, neutrons. These are the two important particles present in the nucleus, and outside the nucleus the electrons are present. Particularly nucleons, these are the particles present in the nucleus of the atom. Together these are called as the nucleons. Particularly these are the protons and the neutrons. We also try to discuss the relationship between these particles present in the nucleus and how these are involved in the various nuclear reactions. Dear friends, we also try to elaborate the phenomenon of natural radioactivity. Well, radioactivity is simply spontaneous disintegration of radio element. So here, whenever any nuclei emit the radiation spontaneously, when actually this is a very important, whenever that nucleus is unstable, it emits the radiation spontaneously. So emission of radiations by the nucleus spontaneously, then the phenomenon is called as the natural radioactivity. And we try to discuss the decay constant for such a radioactivity is called as the decay constant, or the constant for the radioactivity is simply called decay constant. We try to derive the equation for half-life period of decay constant and its mean half-life also for any type of the radio element. After we discuss some numericals based upon the same concept, natural radioactivity or the decay constant and its half-life period as well as mean life period, how we can determine the half-life period and the mean life period of any decay constant for the particular radio element. And after we try to study the detection and the measurement of radioactivity, definitely in this we said that whenever any radio element emits radiation spontaneously, then how we can detect and measure these radiations by using a various instrument, particularly in the detection and the measurement of radioactivity. We tried to study the two types of the instruments, particularly these are the GM counter, Geiger-Müller counter, and the second one is called as scintillation counter. These two instruments are very important in the detection and the measurement of radioactivity. We tried to discuss the various components of GM counter and the scintillation counter. Not only the components, we tried to discuss its working and the construction, as well as some drawbacks and the advantage or the disadvantages of this both the type of the instrument that we study. Scintillation, it involves the flashes of light. GM counter, it uses the that what we can say emission of electrons particularly. So whatever the two mechanism of these two counters that we discussed in the detection and the measurement of radioactivity, after that it was the very important aspect of the natural radioactivity or the radio element of the radioisotopes, and that we discussed about the uses of radioisotopes, various important uses of radioisotopes. Definite number of uses or the applications of radioisotopes are possible, but as far as concerned with our syllabus, we try to discuss the 2 to 3 important applications of radioisotopes, and it was involving the first application of radioisotope, and it was the study of chemical reaction mechanism. Whenever in case of any type of reaction, whenever there are more than one or more than two possibilities for the same reaction regarding with its mechanism, then how can we predict the correct mechanism of that reaction? It was a very good example. To find out the correct mechanism of chemical reaction. For that purpose, definitely we tried to discuss some chemical reaction, which was a very important thing to study the chemical reaction mechanism. And I think in the study of chemical reaction mechanism, we tried to discuss one natural chemical reaction that take place in the plant called as the photosynthesis, and second one is the ester hydrolysis, and next one is called as the Friedel-Crafts reaction. So here, in order to study the correct mechanism, in order to predict the correct mechanism of chemical reaction, we can use a radioisotope. Whenever the particular element is replaced by means of its radioisotope, then the correct mechanism of the same chemical reaction can be find out, can be studied, can be predicted. So this was the example that we discussed in the applications of radioisotopes during the study of chemical reaction mechanism. After that, we discussed another important application of radioisotope entitled as age determination by carbon dating process, or the carbon dating by carbon 14. So whenever the carbon is replaced by its radioisotopes carbon 14, then whenever you will compare the age or the concentration of carbon in any dead organism or the plant sample and the concentration of carbon 14 radioisotope in present atmosphere, then we can compare their concentration. By comparing the ratio of their concentration, we are able to determine the age of any fossil, any particular sample, any dead organism or the animals or the plants after its death. So this is the method which is used nowadays for many investigations also, age determination by dating by carbon 14 process. After this study of natural radioactivity, we also try to discuss some another important concept, different concept. I will say the different concept called as nuclear transmutation. Whenever any particular element is converted into another element by bombarding it with fast moving particle, then the process is called as the nuclear transmutation. One nucleus is converted into another nucleus by bombarding it with the fast moving particle, then the process is called as the nuclear transmutation, and whatever newly element is called as the daughter element is unstable, then the process is called like the artificial disintegration. It's very important to study this concept in converting one element into another element, one nucleus into another nucleus, and that process is called like nuclear transmutation. And we try to discuss the various example of nuclear transmutation also, as well as artificial disintegration also. After that, we try to define the nuclear artificial radioactivity. Artificial radioactivity, the daughter element is unstable. And it emits the radiation spontaneously. That's why this is the phenomenon like the radioactivity. But this conversion takes place artificial. That's why it is called as artificial radioactivity. So here it involves the conversion of stable nucleus into unstable nucleus, and this unstable nucleus emits the radiation spontaneously. That's why it is called as the artificial radioactivity. After that, during the nuclear reaction, definitely the energy is liberated, and whatever amount of energy liberated is or absorbed is called as the Q value of nuclear reaction. The amount of energy liberated or absorbed during the nuclear reaction, that energy is called as the Q value of that nuclear reaction, and the energy which is absorbed during the endergic reaction, because if the energy is liberated, it is called as the exergic nuclear reaction, and if the energy is absorbed, then it will be called as the endergic nuclear reaction. So for the endergic nuclear reaction, how much energy is absorbed, that much energy is called as the threshold energy. So I hope if you already have gone through this all previous video lecture, then it might not be very difficult for you all to understand what I'm saying. But if you have not gone through previous lecture, definitely it will be a new concept. I'm not going to discuss with you. I'm just going to revise the previous topic that we covered during the completion of nuclear chemistry. After the study of threshold energy, we tried to study the nuclear fission, because this is the important process called as nuclear fission in order to obtain the energy. And the two types of nuclear materials are involved in the nuclear fission. One is the fissile material, another one is the fertile material. Fissile material undergoes the fission directly, while fertile material itself will convert into another material, and then that material will undergo fission directly. So here itself non-feasible, but it can be converted into feasible material, and that materials are called as the fertile material. So here again we try to discuss the various factors that can control the fission process, because the nuclear fission is the process in which we people are able to obtain a tremendous amount of energy, large amount of energy, if these nuclear reactions are carried out in controlled manner. Definitely in that case it's very important, and various factors are responsible for the controlling of nuclear fission. One is the multiplication factor, and the second one is called as the critical size or mass of fissionable material. Multiplication factor, it depends upon the number of neutrons in n generation as well as in n-1 generation, means the earlier generation. Again, already we tried to define here, whenever the nuclear fission is carried out in controlled manner, we can obtain a tremendous amount of energy, and the device in which the nuclear reaction is carried out in controlled manner to obtain a large amount of energy, then that device is called as the nuclear reactor. So in the nuclear reactor, the nuclear reaction is carried out in controlled manner to obtain the large amount of nuclear energy, and whenever this nuclear energy is converted into electric power, then the device is called as a power reactor. So dear friends, with the study of this nuclear reactor, we also try to study the power reactor in which the nuclear energy is obtained from the nuclear reaction in controlled manner, and the same energy can be converted to electric power through the steam generation. With the help of this power reactor, we try to discuss the breeder reactor. The main difference between breeder reactor and the power reactor is that in the breeder reactor the amount of nuclear fuel goes on increasing, and that's why this is the important characteristic of this breeder reactor, in which the amount of nuclear fuel goes on increasing. That's why the whatever nuclear fuel consumed, amount of nuclear fuel is consumed for the product power production, more than that consumption, we are getting the more amount of nuclear fuel. So this is important characteristic of this breeder reactor, called as actually, in which the amount of nuclear fuel goes on increasing. And the last one is called as nuclear fusion. In the study of nuclear fusion, we stated that the combination of two or more nuclei, smaller nuclei having low binding energy per nucleon, to form the larger nucleus having higher value of binding energy per nucleon, in which the small amount of mass get converted into large amount of energy, nuclear energy. Then the combination of such nuclei is called as the nuclear fusion. So dear friends, these were the concept that we tried to cover in the all previous lectures, video online lectures, and I think you will not have any doubt about all this topic. In case any doubt, you can ask, you can contact, and definitely based upon the same, which we will try to discuss, we will try to conduct one quiz also, test also, and then we will come to that how can we score the marks regarding with the same topic. So this is all regarding with nuclear chemistry. It was all about nuclear chemistry, and from next online video lecture we will try to start the new topic. So thank you very much, dear friends, to listen me in all previous lecture. I hope you will listen me in the next topic also, in the next online video lecture also regarding the new topic that we will resume again. So thank you very much.